What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of Positively Uncensored, your favorite reality TV and interview podcast. It's your host, Leah. Happy Monday, Vanderpump Villa fans. Not only is today the day that you get a new episode because it's every Monday, but today you get 2 new episodes from me because I posted my episode with Steven, and then I'm sitting here with Gabriella, and I'm so excited to chat with you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're a Miami girl. I did my research, so let me give you a proper introduction. You're in Miami, you're the youngest of 5, and you have coordinated events for some of the top designers, so you have a very impressive background and resume.
Right. Yeah. I'm here in sunny Miami.
And you grew up in Miami, correct? Like you've been in Florida most of your life?
So I was born and raised in Plantation, Florida, which is about 35 minutes north of Miami. But of course, you know, when you're in this area, you're basically from Miami. And then I went to school for soccer in Miami, and I've been living here for about 6 years.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't know if I'm just like very ignorant to Florida cities, but I didn't quite realize that there is a city called Plantation, Florida that kind of just like took me aback a little bit.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
Like they didn't change that at all.
Right? I know, but at the same time, it's honestly one of the best cities to grow up in. I mean, it's so diverse. It's very cookie cutter.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the best place. I mean, I want to raise my kids there, you know? And
okay, good to know.
I mean,
okay.
Keep its name, you know? Like, it's fine.
Okay, so you grew up in Florida, you're now in Miami. Tell me about your siblings. So you're the youngest of 5. What are your siblings' ages?
So my oldest sister, Noelle, is 42. She's a doctor. Her husband and her are very successful. He's in medical sales. She has 2 kids, beautiful life. They live here in Florida as well. Another sister actually got a full ride to Georgetown for law school. And it was a big turnaround for her because she grew up with a really, really tough life. We have different moms. Really tough life, did a 180. Now she's a lawyer. She practices here with Anna Jar-Levine. My other sister, Ariane, is 33, and her husband is in the Army, and she has 3 kids. Obsessed with them. They're in Atlanta.
Wow.
And then my sister that's closest to my age, and we have the same parents, Victoria, she is 26. She has 2 kids that I'm just so close to. My niece and nephew, Ava and Aiden, are my pride and joy. We FaceTime every single morning to see them off to school. We have like a group FaceTime with my dad, my mom, and my sister. Yeah, it's called Well, This Is Awkward because my parents are divorced. But, you know, we all
Oh my God. Okay, the plot twist.
I know, right? It's the best. So we get on FaceTime every morning, see the kids off to school, and it's just the best. And I couldn't imagine not having a big family. I have 9 nieces and nephews.
That was my next question because I'm hearing all of this and I'm like, okay, so you have tons of nieces and nephews. You kind of sound like me. So I have older siblings and I became an aunt when I was 10. Is that you? Were you a young aunt?
I was 14 years old. And what's crazy about this is that, and I think this attributes to, you know, my growth so quickly and how I was able to just kind of, you know, get this independence and this maturity quickly. My sister was in her residency when she had her first child. That summer, she asked my sister and I to stay at her house full time to take care of the baby. He was 2 weeks old, while her and her husband had to go to work. So that's what we did. For a full summer, we stayed at her place. I mean, her place was amazing. It was super lavish. So I was like, sure. I was 14 years old, just whatever. So yeah, but it was a beautiful experience. And I love it also because I'm not forced to have kids really quick. My parents aren't begging for them. So I'm like, thank God. But I'm very excited to have a family myself.
It also gives you like that dose of birth control that everybody talks about, like every time it's
Mhm.
like, maybe I have baby fever, spend a few hours with your nieces and nephews, and it's like, bye, glad you're going home.
Yeah. It's like rent a kid, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. It is. It very much is. So that's really interesting. I really wanted to hear more background because we get so little of it on the show. So
I
thank you
know.
so much for sharing all of that and filling us in on your family.
Yeah, of course.
So I want to dive into a couple of things. First of all, while we're on the topic of family, I saw that you're Haitian and Puerto Rican. So I'd like to know a favorite dish from like what's your favorite Haitian dish? What's your favorite Puerto Rican dish?
Oh my God, that
Is that
is
unfair to ask?
so
Because it's like just asking
hard.
one.
That is so hard.
Valid.
Okay, so um, my favorite meal to have, Haitian food is my favorite cuisine. My favorite food to
Love it.
have is rice and beans um, with chicken, and it's like chicken in a sauce. It's like a Creole sauce. It's super flavorful. And then there's
Mm.
these, it's almost like a slaw in a way, but it's called pickles, and it's pickled cabbage, carrots, onion, but it's spicy. And you put it on everything with
Mm.
plantains, but we call them banan. Um, oh my God, it is like, I think of, like right now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh my God, I need it. Um,
I'm drooling. That
no,
sounds
no,
so
it's so,
amazing.
no, the rice, like it's different. Like it's different from any, it's just the best. But my death row meal, and I always ask people what their death row meal is, but it's my mom's rice and beans. Oh my God. And she makes like a whole chicken, and then there's a
Mm.
pork shoulder. It's called benin. And you
Uh-huh.
put it in the oven. It's in there like all day long cooking. It's a slow cook kind of thing. It is just juicy. It's flavorful. And then you make this like little garlic sauce on the side. Girl, I can go on about it. Like we have a
I'm salivating.
yeah,
I'm a
it's just
foodie. Like I'm in
oh my
heaven.
God.
I'm in heaven.
No, then if you come to Miami, you have to come to my mom's house and eat with us because you will die. It's so good.
I 100% will. I was just eating carnitas before we got on the phone, and I was like,
Oh my
God, I
God.
love pork. Like, like some people are like really not into pork, which totally respect, but like me
Hmm.
personally, I'm obsessed. I even like hot dogs. Like, that's gross, and I still love them.
I love it. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow, now I'm thinking about food.
Okay, I know. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to switch us gears. So
Yeah.
now I want to know what's your favorite event that you've ever coordinated? Can you tell us like a brief summary of like who it was for and what
Ooh.
it was?
So this was last year, July. It was American Black Film Festival here in Miami, and I hosted an event for Netflix. They did a screening at the theater nearby in Miami Beach, and they were doing a Black Excellence lunch, and it included it was for the two Netflix movies that came out. One was a show, and I can't remember the name of the show, unfortunately. But the movie that they were doing was Gabrielle Union and Keith Powers, The Perfect Thing, or I can't remember exactly the name, unfortunately. But Keith and Gabrielle Union were there. I mean, it was a
Okay.
lot of moving parts. They bought out the whole restaurant, so we had to coordinate with media. We really changed up the whole restaurant. They had a lot of little activations. We had to curate cocktails, um, and honestly, it was just so nice to be in a space filled with Black excellence. I don't get that enough. I'm always one out of 100 Black people in my spaces, more often than not, surprisingly in Miami. But I think my the target market at my restaurant Biblos is not really geared towards the Black community, which is okay. But it was such a beautiful, and that's the beauty about events, right? If you have a great space, anyone can come and anyone's going to gravitate towards it. Right? Regular service, maybe not, but I
Right.
felt so fortunate to be in a space with someone like Gabrielle Union, um, just so powerful, so innovative, beautiful, obviously, and talented. So, and the room was just filled with so much love. Like, before they started eating, they did a prayer. And it was like 100 people in the dining room, and everyone was stopped, and they did a prayer on the mic. Just the energy was infectious, and it was a beautiful time and beautiful to put on myself. So I enjoyed it a lot.
I'm so glad to hear about this. First of all, thank you for sharing. Second of all,
Yeah.
congratulations, because that's an
Yeah.
enormous opportunity that you so well deserve.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things that you hit on, thank you for sharing your experience, because I don't know much about Miami or what the diversity is like there. So I appreciate you sort of shedding light on that for people who aren't from Miami. And
Hmm.
then as far as being in that space, I think that there's so seldom where we actually get to just have black joy, excellence, liberation, uplifting. And so it's so true what you're saying, and you are a black woman, so it must feel, just very healing and very like good to be there. Just very
Yeah.
seen, very very around, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it felt. And when you said healing, that really resonated with me because I don't realize from time to time when I'm in a space with so many people, and they could be nice and great, and they don't look at me any different, but there's always this feeling inside where you're like, okay, I'm not one of them per se. But then when I
Right.
am in that space with all of my people, I feel like, okay, I'm good. And okay, this is me,
Absolutely.
So yeah, um, yeah, wow, I like that. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a safe space. I
Yeah.
um I don't know if you watch reality TV. That was my next question actually. Do you watch reality TV, and do you have a favorite show? And then I'll come back to where I was going with that.
Yeah, not often. I would tune into The Bachelor once in a while, way back when, but then I just kind of got over it. And then I would watch Love
Totally.
Island UK. I would watch Love Island UK a little bit, like Molly May season with Tommy. Love them. But other than that, I have not really dabbled in reality TV like that.
Okay, I like that. Protect your peace. First of all, Molly May and Tommy are iconic,
Love,
iconic television.
love.
The way I was obsessed, it took up a pretty decent portion of my brain when it shouldn't have, and I was very, very obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love hearing your shows. Okay, so my where I was going with this too. So you used to watch Bachelor, same. It's a fatiguing fan base. We could talk for a very long time about that franchise. Is very much not representative of diversity. You know what I mean? So it's very
They're
draining to watch
trying.
after a
They're
while.
trying.
They're they're trying. They're a little late, but
Yeah.
they're getting in there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Very
yeah.
slowly. They're on their way. They're on their way.
Uh,
But Summer House Martha's Vineyard, it's one of my favorite shows, and what's so special about it is it's an all black cast, and there's very much this sense of having a safe space to come together, really feel all of our emotions. And you can tell too, I talk about this a lot, you can tell that when people come into a space that is a black space, a lot of times white people, we tend to take up a lot of space, or like make it about ourselves, you know, and distract and make a space that's supposed to be about one thing, like suddenly catered to us. So what I love about the show is that, first of all, you see that for what it is when it happens, but
mhm.
second of all, for the most part, it's a very safe space, and it's just very, you know, I can't say healing from my experience, but it just brings me joy. It brings me joy to
Right,
watch.
right.
So you should look
Well,
into that
that's
show.
nice
You might
because
like
I
it.
mean, you actually acknowledge these things and you see them, and I think that they should be discussed more, just so people have some sort of knowledge. You know what I mean? It's good to just understand these types of things regardless of if you practice them every day, you see them, you acknowledge them, so that when you do come into that space, you know how to act.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So now let's piggyback into a different area. So
Yeah.
getting into a little bit of Vanderpump Villa,
Mm-hmm.
when with your background, so you were event coordinating, how did you hear about the show? And how did you decide that this was going to be something that you wanted to do?
So I didn't know about the show until a casting director reached out to me on Instagram and said, "Hey, are you interested in reality TV? I see you do events." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, let's meet
Love.
for a call on Monday." Um, and so we got on the phone and he asked me a few questions. He's like, "Oh, you're it." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "So this show is going to be filmed in the south of France. It's Lisa Vanderpump, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Oh, this sounds cool. Like, this is," and
Yes.
I've always had an interest in doing reality TV. Everyone's like, you have the personality for it, you have the look for it, blah, 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 you should do it. And I've always wanted some sort of platform to be able to influence the masses. So I'm like, yes. Like, why would I go on a dating show when I can do my job and show what I'm good at and highlight that? So I thought this was perfect. Also, something that I tell everyone that is insane was that at the beginning of the year in January, I said, "Girls, I belong in the south of France. I don't know what it is. Like, I need to go to the south of France." And I was manifesting this for myself.
Oh
And then
my
when he reached
gosh.
out and said it was being filmed, I was like, "You're joking, right? Like, there's no way." And from that moment, when he told me it was in the south of France, I knew that I was going to get it. Like, I don't know why. It's because I had been telling myself this, and like, how is that possible? So I said,
Yes.
"Oh, for sure I'm going to get it." So I was just moving and living my life like I was going to be in France in September.
I cannot believe that you had a precise location in your mind. That's actually like so powerful. And that's why I've been saying when recently when I speak about things, like when I do this,
Exactly.
when I hit that, because I'm like, I might as well visualize myself succeeding and getting what I want rather than not, you know?
Exactly. And, and when I found out for sure, my mom is like, "Mama, I think you have superpowers." I'm like, "No, I know this, Mom." Like, yes. It's so
I
funny.
want you to dream that I go to Lake Como. You know what I mean?
You're like, "Can you
Like,
just say that I'm gonna do this?" Sure.
right, right. Yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
you
If
want.
you speak it, it's out there. Like it's truly out there. Okay, so that's really interesting. So
Yeah.
also, you seen, so you're not really like a reality TV buff, but you've watched a couple shows. Had you seen Vanderpump Rules to be familiar with Lisa, or do you just know her from her success in the industry?
I just know her in the restaurant world, really. I mean, obviously, I know of her because of Vanderpump Rules, and I watch Call Her Daddy. Shout out Alex Cooper. She is my girl, soccer girl, everything. She's amazing. So I watched Ariana on Call Her Daddy, and I was like, "Damn, this shit's crazy. Like, this is the tea." But whatever. I still didn't watch the show. Um,
Yeah.
and when I started the casting process, I was like, "Ooh, should I watch it?" Then I watched the first episode and I was like, "Why am I going to do this?" Like, I'm also very busy. And I was like, let me just go into the chateau. Let me meet Lisa. Let me have this organic experience. I don't want to tarnish it or anything with watching Vanderpump Rules. Yeah. And plus,
How
it's a whole different
interesting.
show.
It is. It's a whole different show. And you know
Yeah.
what? Like, as someone who loves reality TV, I can't imagine not knowing Lisa from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, from Vanderpump Rules.
Oh,
So
that
hearing
too.
that is like such a exactly. There's like two. Um, Hearing that is such a unique perspective. So that gives me pleasure to ask you, what did you think when you met her? What was it like meeting her? What was the experience like? Do you feel like you're meeting a celebrity?
No, not really. And also being in Miami and working with the clientele that I have, and I have, friends that are in that space. So it wasn't like that for me. What it was is, okay, this woman is powerful. This woman, I can learn from her. Um,
Yes.
and how do I somewhat, you know, it's the mentorship vibe, but how can I somewhat, I don't know, because I'm the youngest, but I am surrounded by older people. We work closely with ownership, like things like that. So I'm used to being around people that are older. So it's more so like, how can I befriend this person in a way and learn from them and grow?
Yes.
Right. So it was more so in that aspect. But of course, um, she's just so graceful, so elegant, and you look at her and you're like, she's kind of a wow factor type of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was a pleasure to meet her and be able to learn from someone that's so successful.
Lisa's very much an enigma to me. For example, I cannot picture her in a pair of sweatpants ever. Like I straight up can't picture it. Gray
No,
sweatpants and a potato chips, can't see it.
she was in overalls one day, but like I'm like she's in overalls, but she literally looks like a superstar. What's going on? I'm like, I'll look like
I
a
was
truck
pissed when I
driver.
saw her like that. She looked like Brooke Shields. I'm like, what is going on?
My
Okay, so now I want to know you. So you live alone right now. What were your thoughts when you found out that you were going to be living with your coworkers?
um no big deal really. Lisa asked me this question a lot during my first, like my final interview with her. And I played college soccer, so I roomed with people. I've traveled abroad and played soccer and had to room with people, live in the same house. Obviously, big family. So I'm very much used to being in an intense environment where there's a goal objective there and people are kind of competing as well in a way. But then we have to go to bed and sleep in the same area at the same night and eat in the same place. So I'm definitely accustomed to it. College soccer is, I would say, is more intense.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a little different because there's cameras, right? So it's just
Yes.
like a whole nother beast. So yeah, I was definitely ready for it. But it definitely the people that were there were is yeah, it made it really difficult.
That was my next question. So, okay. So, with knowing that you played soccer and like college soccer at that, so that's like a whole other level. Like that's not like middle, you know what I mean? Like just middle school soccer.
Yeah.
Were the personalities in the chateau stronger than in soccer? Like, do you feel like it was more of a mean girl attitude on your soccer team, everybody together kind of competing, or in the villa?
Definitely in the villa. Um, and it's different because Lisa Lisa wasn't necessarily like delegating relationships as much, whereas in soccer, your coach or the captains really have to step in and be like, okay, you cannot speak about your teammate this way or whatever it is. And at the
Right.
end of the day, you know, you respect your teammates, you ride for your teammates, and it doesn't matter even if you don't really like them. Whereas here, no one gives a shit. Like if
Mm-hmm.
they don't like
Mm-hmm.
you, they don't like you. They're gonna say. And obviously, we have very outspoken um, people on the cast, so that's kind of how it was.
You know, another thing is on soccer, for example, you do too much, your coach may just like boot you from the team or bench you from a game. Do you feel like there was a little bit more leniency? Because, of course, you all have a job to do, but I've worked in the hospitality business and I know from personal experience that certain personalities get by no matter how like awful they may be. I'm mostly thinking of men that I've worked with because
Hmm.
they get the job done. So, like I guess like Do you feel like there was like less pressure to get disciplined? You know what I mean? Because it's ultimately going to not help ratings, but at least be entertaining to watch.
I mean, yeah, that's what it is. I mean, that's the name of the game, honestly. And then on top of that,
Right.
and I'm always looking at things work related. So Lisa, as a businesswoman in the TV space, of course, check, you know. But then as
Totally.
well, looking at her as, okay, she's opening up this pop-up location in France. I can't fire
Yes.
Marciano if he's an asshole and just bring someone. Like, it's a lot financially, time
Mm-hmm.
wise, training wise, whatever it is. It's a lot. So, so in any case, it doesn't work. So I think the punishment and everything she did, I would have done the same thing.
I'm shocked at how fast Nikki showed up to the villa. Like, I mean, I'm jumping around a little because I did plan on mentioning this towards the end. But when
Yeah.
Nikki did show up, I'm like, where were you? Like, were you next door? You know what I mean? Like, how did? But then she said jet
Yeah.
lagged, and I'm like, oh,
It was like, I mean, she says it herself. They literally called her, was like, "Can you come?" And she's like, yeah." And she literally had to just tell her job, "Hey, I'm out," and she was gone, and she was here at the chateau. I was surprised too. I was like, "Damn!" Like, but it honestly, and
like,
we're so quick to think like, "Oh, this was staged, this was planned, da 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 da." But I mean, the from the looks of it, and I was there, they really had to just work on the fly. And of course, they casted her prior to see, okay, could she be on the show, whatever. This is what I'm thinking.
right.
So they knew, okay, we can call this person if shit hits the fan.
I mean, yeah, it makes that part makes the most amount of sense. Like, if they didn't have a backup, what is happening? Lisa can't. She can't, be on the cameras looking at everything and then also go out there and do the job, So I
Right.
very much get that part. Um, okay, jumping back a little bit. So you said Villa, definitely more Mean Girls. When you first got to the Villa, how did your first impressions compare to how you felt about people as this experience progressed? Like, who did you like and click with right away, etc.?
Um, so surprisingly, nothing has changed about how I felt about anyone besides Eric. Eric, at first I'm like, ooh, Prince Charming, Rico Suave, gorgeous, blah, blah, blah. And then he started talking and running around with the sheep, and I'm like, oh my God, who is this guy? Like, he's a little crazy. Um, but Eric makes me laugh. He's interesting. But beyond that, I'm very much an energy person, and I really see people through, and I observe them and see how they move and feel them out. So I definitely was kind of spot on about how I felt about certain people in my first interaction with them. From the jump, obviously, I clicked with Telly, with Grace. I enjoyed Priscilla. Steven obviously was a light. Um, who else? Andre. I'm like, okay, Andre's cool. Like, that's a vibe. Um, the giggle.
The giggle, the like, I can't wait to talk about it. The
I know.
tea.
Marciano's a nut job. Hannah, I could see right through everything that was going on there. So yeah, I mean, but
I
really,
love that. Thank you for. Oh wait, what about the chefs? Chef Carolyn, Chef Anthony.
those are the type of people that I would gravitate towards to in a workplace, and I would go and go get a dinner with them, which I do not right now with Caroline. Caroline was just here in Miami. She slept at my house. We went out to dinner with a bunch of my other friends. So yeah, and I typically hang out with an older age group. I think it's due to like my sisters being older and that kind of thing. So yeah, and Caroline, like amazing.
Listen, I need to know because one episode, Hannah snaps at Caroline. She's like, and I've had enough of you. And I'm like, what's happening? Because behind the scenes, Caroline must at least have more of a voice than we see because She must have rubbed Hannah the wrong way at one point.
Probably Caroline. She doesn't always say much, but like when she does, she's been on this earth for longer than we have. Like she knows shit. She's been in so many relationships. She knows her worth. She knows what she provides, and she can see other people and that they don't understand that themselves yet, right? So she'll say things that cut deep for someone that doesn't yet know themselves. So when she does, it doesn't get received in the right way. And I mean, that's unfortunate for the other person, but
That's the tea. Yeah.
yeah, I'm with Caroline. Caroline knows what the fuck she's talking about.
I love a straight shooter. I love someone who gives it. I love someone who's direct. Sometimes I'll take a pause, but I'm such a direct person that I can always appreciate. Um, I love when women, especially, are direct. When men do it, I'm kind of like, oh, I'm spending.
Yeah.
Like, but
You're like,
women,
stop.
eh? Who gave you permission? Yeah, very much, very much. Okay, so you saw, like, your opinion didn't much change. Now, here's what I'm wondering. You and Telly are very much on and off, okay and not, sort of. Like, she made that comment, which was horrible, really horrible, and to Hannah. And then this episode, I sort of, because I already watched, of course, and caught up, like, of course, but I've already watched, and like, you two do have like a giggle together, like a laugh, like you two are cordial with each other. And I was a little surprised that you weren't more like leery of, being around her. So like, can you walk me through what your
The whole
thoughts
thing.
on that entire
Yeah.
situation?
So I find out this information, and just prior to the dinner at Carcassonne, well, before that, Telly and Hannah, well, Hannah, that's a whole nother thing, but Telly, I could see her very much like with Hannah all the time, and I was getting a super weird energy from her. And there was, and we just like, I could tell that she was having an issue. I didn't know what the issue was, but my thing is, if someone has an issue, you go to the person and you address it respectfully, right? But I wasn't
Right.
receiving that, so I was just going about my time. I was spending a lot of time with Andre, with Grace, blah blah blah. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. And if you're gonna, if you're in cahoots with Hannah, I'm okay. I'm gonna stay on the other way because I don't really want to be in, you know, in relation to that. Then moving on
Yes.
to the dinner, right before dinner, she asked me to speak. And so we spoke, and we realized there was a misunderstanding, and, she apologized. We understood each other. We're good. We go to dinner. I find out this information because
Okay.
Emily and Grace are now seeing that her and I are okay. But they're like, I don't think Gabriella knows that she said those things about her. Because if Gabriella knew the extent to how terribly she was speaking of her, I don't think she would be okay with that.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
So then they
Yes.
tell me, and that's why I look at her and I'm thinking, is that what you said about me? How could you say that? I didn't know you said that. You think we would be okay? And there's parts that were cut out that I said, things I said to her at the dinner. And then from then on, it was just a shit show of a night. And for me, it's not the comments that hurt me because, like, like I'm good, Like, it's not the comments that hurt me, and I think that's why it doesn't stick with me as much. It's the idea that someone that I thought that was, forming a friendship with just said that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
more so in the sense of, shit, like, now I don't think I'm going to be able to be friends with her, which is so unfortunate because I can't trust that person. Those things are really terrible things to say about someone.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
me personally, I'm on a journey of learning to forgive people. And I also am realizing that I hold words with so much value. Whatever I say is intentional. I don't say things just to say it. But in this experience, I'm realizing that people just say things to say things.
Yes.
And I can't hold that to everyone. So I'm realizing that Telly was just saying something to say something, and it didn't hold value. I said, okay, I can
That's
forgive
really
this.
powerful.
Yeah, so okay, I can forgive her. You know, I don't want this fog of animosity and hostility. I don't want that around me. So we'll move on. So yeah, we were able to kind of move forward in that. She apologized to me. They didn't show that on the show. It happened on the show. Her and I talked about it more outside of the show as well. And we continued to just kind of, and she was on a journey herself of learning to not be reactive, learning to have conversations and things like that. And that's a reason why I didn't forgive Hannah. That's why me and Hannah don't have a great relationship, because I couldn't sit down with her and have a conversation. I don't believe she has the mental capacity to do that. And for me personally, screaming, cursing, disrespecting, that's not a means to come to a resolution, to come to consensus, to come to an understanding.
Yes.
So I'm not engaging, right? Now I don't really know where my relationship stands with either of them, which is okay. You know what I mean? Like, I have so much love and so many beautiful relationships in my life, and ultimately, you know, people that have the capacity to speak so poorly and negatively about people, I don't really know if I have the space for that, and if I should have the space for that. So I don't know. It's definitely it's definitely been a journey to understand that, and
It's
yeah,
one thing to live it, right? Another
yeah,
thing to have to like reprocess this as you're watching it back. A lot of people I've talked with say that, like some of the hardest part on their relationships, whether it's romantic or friendship, is simply just like already going through something, and then a year later, 6 months later, rewatching it, and then like the public's opinion is there and the public's perception is added, and it's like all of these wounds that you felt privately and may have dealt with, like seeing comments, like it's like, oh, you know what I mean, like, oh, like, yeah, that was horrible, and it's just, it can very much like reignite that, it's like a wound, like I said, it can, and like a scab it off, and then it's
yeah,
fresh, and then it heals. So I hope that you have a lot of support as you like process things and move through, you know, your friendship. And I wanted to say too, and I'm sure that you know this, but you are so beautiful. You, every like thing about you, you're so beautiful from head to
thank
toe.
you.
I hope that you didn't internalize for even 1 second any like projections about you. You're
Yeah,
so absolutely right. As someone who's been in therapy to try to not be reactive, people who spend their lives people pleasing occasionally end up in this space where you're rubbed down so much that when anybody talks to you, it's so PTSD and so reminding of like every time you never spoke up for yourself. And sometimes things just come out. So, like, when you talk to someone and their breath starts getting hitched, or they start,
yeah,
raising their voice, like something, oh, like something internally that has nothing to do with me is hitting right now. So,
exactly.
you have a lot of grace for people who, aren't intentional with their words. But like you said, um, it is impact over intention, and that's why you intentionally choose your words so that they aren't landing to be misinterpreted. So, I think all of that you just shared was really important.
Yeah, thank you. And then just to touch on like the support, the public and all that, um, even though they said what they said and they are who they are, by no means do I condone the slander. And, because it's like, it's the simple rule we learn when we're young: two wrongs don't make a right. And the public bashing Telly and Hannah doesn't make me feel better about myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't do
Absolutely.
anything. Of course, comment on my
Yes.
photos, tell me that I'm gorgeous and support me, yes, but like supporting me is no correlation with ditching them
Putting
and
another woman down.
putting them
Yes.
down. So that, I must say, is for me is unacceptable. I literally hide the comments sometimes because I'm like, I don't want the negativity on my page. I don't want to deal with it. Like, it's over. Like, I'm good, guys, we're good. Just support the good in the show, and let's move on.
And my thing is always like, you know what, as attached and invested as I might get, let's let people move on. I will make my recap videos by myself on my TikTok, but as far as messaging them, hey, I really think that you shouldn't be friends with, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Nor am I gonna comment on someone and be like, terrible, bitch. Like, I'm not gonna tell someone that they're a bitch or like be rude. Like, like just watch your show, move on, and if your life is that boring where you need to project on someone, take up painting. I don't know. Do something.
Get a
Do something.
hobby.
I don't
Get
know.
a hobby.
A hobby. Get a hobby. Um, okay, so one thing I want to hit on is when I chatted with Telly and we're like redoing our episode, audio issues, whatever. One thing that she mentioned was that like the context of saying that comment, like, and she takes full accountability, wasn't right, she shouldn't have said it. She's saying that there was like more context to the situation than just Andre and Grace, you know what I mean, like that being the main issue. Would you agree
Yeah.
with her perspective?
Um, by no means do I think it is ever acceptable whatsoever. And
Agreed.
beyond that, I think that her interpretation of things is a reaction to what she's receiving from the public eye. Okay? So Grace has a crush on Andre. First of all, the second I walk in, I tell Telly, I think Andre's cute. Whatever, we move on. Grace has a thing for Andre. Okay? Andre has a thing for Gabriella. He's kind of in my ear, and I'm like, no, because Grace has a little thing for you, so figure that out. I'm like, talk to her. He's like, well, I don't need to because I've never expressed anything for her, so it was that. So
Yes.
at this point, Grace had already told him, and they kind of hashed it out. They're good. But Grace can kind of see me and Andre connecting a little more. We go on walks, we do this, we're having a lot of conversations, we eat together. So she's seeing this, and she's obviously maybe alongside Telly and Hannah. And the comments were more so like, oh, this is annoying. Like, oh, I wonder if they're together. Basic, normal human reactions.
Yes.
Not once did Grace call me out of my name.
Right.
Make any comment about my character, who I am as a woman. Never
Yes.
spoke terribly on my name. Okay? Nor was she, if Grace is a big girl. She can stand up for herself. If she has an issue with what I'm doing, she's going to come to me and she's going to talk to me. And I've opened that space for her as well. Okay? So
Right.
the idea that of Gabriella's this and Grace was mad and she's not showing that, Grace is not being held accountable, that's a load of shit, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
we are now trying to justify and make an excuse for what was said. No, that was all you. That was all you. I could have said, like, let's say hypothetically speaking, I go, Grace likes Andre, and I go right after him and don't even talk
Right.
to her and sleep with him right away and this and that and kiss him right away.
Still,
she has no right
yeah,
to say those things, right?
definitely.
So
Agreed.
so for me, that's all that needs to be said on that.
I get
You
your
know,
point. I get your
it's
point.
like,
You're basically saying that, like, regardless of, and I'm so sorry to cut you off. I just want to make sure I'm like
okay,
understanding.
yeah,
You're basically saying because like Telly's saying it had nothing to do with Andre. Like I could care less about Grace, Gabriella, Andre. It's another situation behind the scenes. We're basically saying, regardless of what the situation was, when we look at how Grace dealt with the situation of me and Andre, where she was feeling, a little bit, having a normal reaction, completely normal, like you said. She did not call you out of your name, and she was not disrespectful. So, like Telly's point of, like, regardless of what that is, there's still no explanation to have gone that route. That's what you're saying, correct?
right. So exactly. And
Got
whatever
it.
was happening behind the scenes, if there was an issue, those things were being Toucan Sam, all these things were being said about me with
On the
no
scene.
conversation with me,
Right.
right?
Yes.
There was now if she had a conversation with me saying XYZ and I told her to fuck off and then she was saying those things about me, maybe I would understand. But that wasn't the
Still
case.
no.
There was no
Got it.
conversation with me about whatever was happening behind the scenes,
It was
which
just a
now,
venting sesh where she'd like destroyed talking about you.
and but ultimately, you're being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, so yeah, the more I talk this through, it's very clear to me how just outright unacceptable um and it's just there's
Distasteful.
really no just exactly there's no real justification, but once again, that being said, I still found the forgiveness and was
Mm-hmm.
able to
Mm-hmm.
move on and believed that she can move on from this, that whatever it is, yeah.
Right. Okay. I so appreciate you taking the time to talk about this because I know everyone at home was curious. And my other issue, and I said this to Telly, is like not the right person to say this to. Like Hannah, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, not nice to say about you anyways, but Hannah is a white woman, and if she participates in this conversation in any capacity, it's very, first of all, racially insensitive. Second of all, microaggressive, potentially even just outright racist. It's just not a conversation where someone's features and it's another black woman or a woman of color should be talked about. Okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's that was my issue, and I said that too. Like, all of it was
Yeah.
an issue, but I just wish, especially Hannah, wasn't there.
Yeah, and this is also a big thing, and you're a dime in a dozen because most white women would never even think that, and that's why I don't know if
Right.
I would ever go to that extent, like that, just like, so that's why it's just, this is not really sitting with me, and I know it's coming from a place from insecurity and things like that, but when it comes to things like this, and this is why I feel like people need to have conversations about race, and we shouldn't shy from it, because I feel like if Hannah knew that talking about a black woman's nose or a black person's nose
Mm-hmm.
was something that was quite sensitive, like talking about our hair,
Mm-hmm.
nose, like those things are very sensitive topics because they're often used to insult by the white
Yes.
community, right? So
Yes.
that's why, and I will not, and I know that she's just ignorant, so I will
Mm-hmm.
never ever say that that was a racist remark or anything of that nature, but I do believe she's ignorant. So I think
Mm-hmm.
this is great that we're having this conversation to shine
Mm-hmm.
light on that and how it could potentially be misconstrued. Um, and I
Yes.
think, just out of anger and in the moment, Telly's not processing that information either. And this goes back
Right.
to my point of being intentional
Right.
and
Right.
thinking about what you say and thinking about the impact it might have. You know what I mean? Oh my
Yes.
God. Like I can go on about that, but
I'm really
yeah.
glad we talked about that because
Yeah.
yes, I don't speak on or police black women. I don't, so I really don't have much to say about Telly's
Right.
comment aside from the fact that it was wrong. But as far as Hannah sitting there, um, she should have walked away. She should have said absolutely not. She should have said I can't be a part of a conversation like this. Like that's so wrong. I don't agree. There's very many things. And you know what? I have friends who have a lot of personality. I used to bartend at a bar in a nightclub and there was 19 of us and we're 19 girls. Of course, comments are going to be said. But you stop your friends when they get too, you know what I mean? Like there is very much this, whoa, don't agree, that was too much, like that was giving bitchy, you know what I mean? Like very bitchy.
Mhm.
So I but you know what, like you said, Hannah's not in a place to hold someone accountable because Hannah's not going to hold herself accountable, and like that's kind
Right.
of how that cycle happens.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I think especially post production, Telly was she did maintain a friendship with Hannah to a certain extent. So if things did get out of line, she always made sure to put it back in line and things like that. So
Yes.
that's very much appreciated. But with certain things, like you can forgive, but you don't forget as much, and it's
Mm-hmm.
tough because you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
hang on to things. But you just never know how things are going to go. Ultimately, I've known these people for 6 months, and in the chateau I knew them for at certain times I knew them for 1 week, sometimes I knew them for 5 weeks, right? So I don't know these people, right? I have friends in my life that I've been friends with for 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
and those are my people and I know those people. So it's very hard, and I don't think many people in that house can say the same. So I know what it's like to build relationships. I know what it's like to have friendships and to hone in on them and support people and love people. And so that was a very difficult space for me.
Now I want to navigate like a little bit to some behind the scenes and maybe like figure out some things that were like positive about the experience that we didn't see. Like
Yeah.
I want to know, is there any moments that you wish we saw that we didn't see? Like
Oh
anything
my God.
funny you did
Something,
or anything you wish we saw?
yeah, something that I think about so often is all the really great conversations I had with Andre. I feel like they do not, I mean, we had very like intellectual, emotionally intelligent, stimulating conversations. And some of which are not very common in this sector of reality TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that would have been so beneficial for production to highlight and to show the growth of a friendship, essentially, and a beautiful relationship at that. Because, of course, you need the screaming and the cursing and something, but you also want something, especially with society shining a light on mental health so much. It would have been so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful just to see those conversations. And um, I take pride in how I articulate what goes on in my head and how I process people and how I feel people. So, and the conversations we had were so great, and that's how him and I grew so close. And they didn't show any of that. They just showed me telling him, "Shut up! I kissed Dan. Get over it." Like,
And they
you
showed
know.
you like filing his toes or something. Like I was
Oh
like,
my
stop. She likes him a lot. Like she just
God. I mean,
touched a man's foot.
yeah. I mean, I'm super like it's just within me. Like my family, we're all just like lovey, touchy. I'll do whatever
Nurturing.
for you.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Super. I'm super maternal in that way. So,
His feet didn't
yeah.
look hairy though, and like I
He
don't
has nice
know.
feet.
Like he what? He has nice feet. Okay. I wish we got to see that too. And I actually had questions about Andre. So you hit part of it. So you guys had lots of deep conversations. What's your favorite thing about Andre? And then what annoys you about him? Like Like playfully so, of course, like the annoying thing.
Yeah. My favorite thing about Andre is how safe and understood he makes me feel. He has a very like nurturing aura,
Yes,
which
he does.
allows me to speak freely and openly, and he accepts it and he listens. So that's nice. Now, on the other hand, it's hard for him to get him to speak. So that's a whole thing. I think that's what annoys me also is he doesn't like just he just needs to like say things, just like say it and express.
You're like, you're giving
So
me nothing. Give me something.
it's like pulling teeth. Also, another thing is he always wants to comment on how I speak. He's like, "Oh, you're just like trying to get me with your words, and you're so good with your words. I don't know about you, blah blah blah." And I'm like, Andre, I'm just telling you what's going on, okay? And I need you to do the same. So he's such a pain in the ass with that. But
You're like, I can't help it that when I speak, it's poetry. Like, it's not my fault.
you're like, I'm like, I
Take
don't
notes.
know. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. And now I need to know, like, if I can ask, have you guys gone on dates outside of the show? What's the tea? What's the tea now?
No, we haven't. Um, but I mean, you guys have to see the last few episodes just to kind of see where we leave off.
Okay,
And
fair.
then from there, yeah, from there we'll kind of see. But I mean, he is in Texas. I'm here in Miami. I have a very demanding job, and he has a whole life going on. You know what I mean? And obviously, especially now that the show's coming out, there's a lot of moving parts for both of us. So I just think it's navigating that. But I mean, everyone can see how kind he is, and we've grown such a beautiful relationship. So I mean, we talk literally all the time. You know, we always check in on each other. So he's really great. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll be rooting for him to come over. I feel like it's not that far. I'm like, I know both Florida and Texas are colossal states, but I'm like, you're just like southern. Like you guys are like, it's almost right there. Like he could come. I don't know. Keep me posted. That makes me
We will.
excited and hopeful.
Yeah.
Okay, my next question is, what were you eating when you guys didn't have an event? Were you guys having the chefs cook for you the entire time?
No, 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 no. They cooked for us once in a while, which was such a treat. But they had production had someone making meals, and then we would cook. Um, we would cook a lot as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you cook? Like I saw someone made like a honey hot pizza one night. Did you have anything that you made and someone liked?
Oh well, that was when we did an event. We made chef had pizzas for lunch for one of the guests, so we all kind of like dove in on that. But no, in the house we would just like come up with different like one night I made pasta. We'd make chicken. We'd make burgers. We'd get like chicken nuggets, pizzas. Like we were. It
Love
was
it.
it was not the easiest situation, and I would eat a lot of baguette, a lot of bread, which was crazy because I was still feeling like skinny mini, not too bloated, which was nice because the bread is so much better in France, so much better. But I'm normally like that.
That's
It's kind of
homey.
my culture. Bread and coffee is the name of the game in Puerto Rican and Haitian culture, so I was used to it.
Hey, I would fit in. I love bread. I love coffee. If I have both of those things in a day, I could actually just be fine. Sometimes I'll just
The
have a
French
piece of bread or like a
lifestyle.
roll. Yeah, what? What of it? I'm European. I don't know.
Same.
Um, yeah, look at us. There we
I
go.
literally, so I'm always on the go, and I just ordered these on Amazon. They're little like to-go cups for your coffee. I'm like, "Ugh,
You're really
cute."
cute. You look really. I know. Like you look so. I was like, where did she go? Like she went to some like cute boutique like right before we got on here, and I have my stained cup. Like I can't think. Do you have a favorite event that you did this season
When is this
that you
coming out?
coordinated? This will come out probably Wednesday, so not
Oh
The
yeah.
new episode won't be out yet.
My favorite event. Oh, it's the last one was like so extravagant. I'll talk. So the
Okay, I
last
can't
one
wait.
was so extravagant. I can't touch on everything that it was, but it was a lot of moving parts. It was really big. It was really extravagant. We forget in all the glitz and glam, um, just the root of everything. I mean, with Harlan's group, I had a really special moment with that as well. But it's so bigger than TV. It's so bigger than money. It's so bigger than beauty. Blah blah blah. You know, it's people, it's where they come from, it's their hard work and their passion, their dedication. So, just to sit back and have appreciation for that and be grateful for where I'm at. So that was probably my favorite. That's a
I'm
lot, but it was my
excited.
favorite.
No,
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clip this part because I saw production shoot us a little note, but I'm gonna clip this part. That way when next week's episode drops, I can have pictures of the event and then your video with you talking about it and like narrating like pop up at the same time. But how much creative freedom were you given with your events?
Um, I mean, there was a good amount of direction from Lisa and what she wanted, but she definitely, especially, you know, once we got to like the third guest, it was like, okay, Steven, okay, Gabriella, like, go ahead and do what you got to
Okay.
do. So we really took the reins on, figuring out how we wanted to lay everything out. Obviously, we had a little issue with Eric trying to switch shit up. That got me
That's
so
then
pissed.
me.
And I was just like, you know what? And it's funny because in part of my interview, I was like, if people want to fuck up, like, it's not on me,
I'm gonna let him.
like, whatever. So it was really funny that
Hmm.
that happened because I was like, let Eric take the blame. I don't give a fuck. She needs to see that he's being a hot mess. Okay. So that happened. But yeah, we definitely
Eric.
were giving a decent amount of Eric. We were definitely giving a good amount of freedom to express ourselves with the event and the decor and the setup.
I can't, I'm so excited. I hope that like after everything is over, you're able to post like more photos of yourself like setting up and your events, and hopefully you get to add this to like I don't know if it's like you have a portfolio the similar way that like artists do and stuff, but hopefully you get to add like some of these grand events to your portfolio because my favorite part of the show was watching what you did. I wanted to see the tablescapes. I wanted to see like what everyone was like where everyone was going to be sitting, where you decided to have everyone, the theme of the night, how it coordinated. And then I was also selfishly thinking I would love Gabriella on below deck, like just to do all of the like coordinations. Like selfishly I would love to see you on another show.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and I love how you're appreciating that aspect of it because the drama overshadows that for sure. But that was the main reason why I was there. Like I don't have a TV background. I'm not trying to be an actress. And I mean, I guess the platform is wonderful, but the objective is to do something on a grand scale and something that I love to do, host. So I love that you're showing appreciation for that. And now I'm gonna start posting more because it really was so gorgeous. Like I posted something the other day and a lot of people responded. I was like, oh, thank you. Like, and obviously Lisa's brilliant mind, to pick out what she picked out, things like that. So
And put it on Pinterest. Like hello, like Pinterest, like these are the type of things that people will be saving forever. Like, oh, I want my bridal
right.
shower to look like this. I want my funeral of 30 that sent me. I'm like, what? If she can come on, I can come on. Like I could think of an event tomorrow to come on. It's 2 year
Right.
release of my podcast. I don't know. Anything.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay, I feel like we got through everything that I wanted to go through. I want to tell everyone where to follow you so that we can keep up, we can see these beautiful pictures, and we can see what's in store for you next.
So I am Gabriella double L dot Sanon Sanon on Instagram. That's where I do majority of my posting. I'm trying the TikTok thing, guys. I'm really trying. I'm like gonna have to hire a social media manager because I cannot do the TikTok thing, but I'm trying my best. So I'm on there as well. And yeah, just tune in and see what I'm doing.
You will do good. TikTok is all about just being creative, and you are creative. So I'm like, I'm gonna go follow you. Everybody go follow. I'm glad you pronounced your last name because I thought it was Gabriella Sanon, and that's how I was gonna say it. So thank you for saying that.
Of course. My dad pronounces it Sano, but I just say Sanon because it's easier for everyone.
I knew it. I was like, "There's no way." You know what I mean? I knew, but I didn't know. You know, but it
Yeah,
does
'cause
make
it's
it
French.
easier for people, white people sometimes, every people, anybody.
Right.
Right.
I love
Okay.
it. You're
Everybody
hilarious.
go follow Gabriella. Thank you so much for doing this episode. Go watch the new Vanderpump Villa and stay tuned.